I think the one thing that I want to zap on is just something we've mentioned on the show here. That what's good for Māori is good for all New Zealanders. And I think there has been an almost visceral realization in a big portion of our population that, look, they may have had some criticisms, they may have not understood, but I think that everyone can identify that there's been a seismic shift in the way the government is going about things. It doesn't seem fair. And I think the only thing that can really be salvaged here is to push real hard and get more knowledge out there, because every time there's something like I think back to the protest at Te Papa, where I know a bunch of people that I saw it live. They're going, oh, I don't agree with this. So why were they doing it again? Oh, it's not a translation. These tough times can be educational for a bunch of people. We've just got to bring them along with us.
Yeah, that's right, bro. And on that point, that what's good for Māori is good for everyone, just to flesh out what I've already talked about. So one of my tupuna, he was the first Māori on record to travel to London from Aotearoa. In 1791, he made the trip.
Wow.
And this isn't unique to his experience. His name was Te Pahi. This wasn't unique to Te Pahi's experience. This experience wasn't unique to Te Pahi himself. There were a lot of other Māori that kind of followed that path, his pathway, and other Pacific leaders as well that had virtually parallel experiences. But Te Pahi, when he got to London, he had almost an existential kind of moment, and that was quite jarring for him, because for the first time in his whole life, he saw homelessness when he got to London, right? This was in 1791. And he got there and he couldn't believe his eyes. He couldn't believe that he was seeing people eating out of rubbish bins, living on the street. And then what added to, I guess, the visceral reaction that he was having was, at the same time, he was seeing people living in castles that called themselves kings and queens and leaders of those people living in the street. And so that little gem, that corded, or that historic gem for me, is a window into, again, Māori philosophy and what it means to be a rangatira or a leader in Te Ao Māori. So rangatiratanga in Te Ao Māori is measured by your strength to feed and provide for and look after everyone that lives in your realm of influence, right? And if you're failing to do that, you are not worthy of being a rangatira. And Te Pahi started to question these kings and queens and their integrity, because he thought, man, these people are claiming to be leaders, but they can't feed their own people. They're letting their people starve. And this, to me, was probably one of the very first interactions of tupuna Māori with a capitalist system. And that, again, shows to me that system never existed here in Aotearoa. Aotearoa was a place where everyone had a place to live, everyone was safe, and everyone had a kai. And then again, another hidden part of history, many of those early settlers that came from Europe were basically running away from that life of poverty, right? And that boat ride, right? You're not going to become rich on a boat ride from London to here. So when they got here, surprise, surprise, they're still poor, right?
Yeah.
But they benefited and survived solely off the tikanga of my tupuna, which is you always look after your guests, your visitors, your manuhiri. And so my tupuna, when they first arrived, they fed them, they gave them a place to stay, whenua to live on, and looked after them, because that's what our tikanga obliges. If you don't do that, then your mana as tangata whenua goes down, right? So it's in your best interest to look after everyone that comes into your realm of influence. And that logic, philosophy, still very much applies today. Us as tangata whenua will never forget our obligation to look after everyone that lives here in Aotearoa. But the thing is, we've been treated like second-class citizens, like subhumans on our own whenua for 200 years. So we haven't had the I guess, the opportunity to fulfill our role as tangata whenua, because we ourselves have been forced into a reality of poverty. So yeah, that's just all evidence for me around the truth of the kōrero, that what is good for tangata whenua and what is good by way of te tiriti o Waitangi is good for everyone.
But at the systems like that, I just have one question. How do you deliver profits to the shareholders?
That's a great question. Yeah.